Hello again. My name is, of course, Eric Anderson, and this is The Root of the Word. We're going to be discussing how certain words pertain to the gospel and how they can further your understanding of the gospel as you do your scripture study and as you do your searching and seeking out of knowledge. What I want to talk about today is the idea of spirit and wind, and how those two words are connected. In John chapter 3, Christ tells Nicodemus that this wind bloweth where it listeth, and whither it cometh, and whither it goeth, no man knoweth, right? And that seems like a tongue tire and all that, and we would say, well, why is Christ saying the wind when they're talking about being born again? Why are they saying that the wind comes and goes? It's almost a weird shift. Right? However, if you were to understand that Nicodemus was a member of the Sanhedrin and he understood both Hebrew and Greek, what Christ said there would make complete sense to him. I find it really interesting. The word in Hebrew for wind is nephesh, right? You pronounce that N-E-F-E-S-H, nephesh. And it means wind, but it also means spirit. Okay? And then if we were to look at the Greek, we have a word called pneuma. Pneuma, right? And that means wind, but it also means spirit. Okay? So we have two references in two of the major languages of the Bible saying that wind and spirit cause us, wind and spirit are synonymous, which causes me to think that there needs to be some connection, right? There was no way that these ancient saints, that these people who were trying to describe how the Spirit works, there's no way in my mind that that's just coincidence that they said that the wind is like the Spirit, so let's say that they're the same way. So we have to stop and think, and we have to say, okay, fine, what attributes of the Spirit are the same as the wind? Now, I'm not a huge fan of just coming out and saying all of the things, because I believe that that's kind of your own personal thing, that you can go and kind of observe and think about and cogitate about. But let's go over a couple of them. First of all, what the Lord said, that the wind comes and goes as it wants. And you don't know when it's going to happen, and you don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And so I kind of think, well, yeah, that's definitely how the Spirit works. I remember one time I was on my mission, and we had a brother who was just not coming along. And I was feeling so bad, like I wanted so badly to just, force this guy to have a spiritual conversion. I was just desperate because I loved him. I thought he was just such a wonderful person who would make a great saint, but he just wasn't feeling it, right? And so we would always do the same thing. We'd come in, can we turn the TV off? Can we put the dog in another room? All these things to invite the Spirit. And then one day, we were having this lesson, and it just was not going great, in my opinion. I was so obsessive about trying to make it so perfect, but the phone was ringing. The kid found the remote and turned it on, and the dog started barking, and there was just all these things. And at the end of the lesson, I was about to walk away so dejected. I was just feeling like I had failed. And the brother that came up to me, that we were teaching, came up to me and said, you know what, Elder Anderson, to be honest, that was probably the most spiritual experience I've ever had. And it wasn't anything that I did, obviously, because I was trying to force everything to go my way. I was trying to manipulate the circumstance in order to make it so that the Spirit could reside. But that kind of hit me, that the Spirit does come and go when He wants. And He will touch whoever He wants. And when they are ready, He's ready to talk to them. And so, yes, the wind. I can't judge when the wind is going to come. I can measure the wind. I can say the wind is going, 35 miles per hour. Here in Wyoming, that's pretty common. But I can't tell you when the wind is going to pick up. I can't tell you when the wind is going to stop. And I feel like that's what the Spirit is like, is that the Spirit can't abide by the judgments and precepts of man, that the Spirit has its own mission. And the Spirit has its own path that it needs to take, and He knows how to best help His brothers and sisters. Another thing that I want to talk about is the similarity between Spirit and wind, is that there are ways that we can block the wind, right? There are ways that we can shut the wind out. There are ways that we can make the wind non-effectual, right? I can put on layers, I could put on hats and gloves, I could stay inside, all of that sort of stuff. And there are also ways that we can block the Spirit, right? There are ways that we can decide that we don't want to feel the effects of the Spirit. And of course that's through not abiding by the precepts of the gospel. That's by not following the commandments. That's by deciding that we are above and beyond what the Lord can do. And so we decide to take matters into our own hands. And then, of course, the other one is this, and I feel like this one is beautiful in its own right. It's that when the wind comes, I see its effects. When the wind comes, I can see the trees blowing and I can see the leaves going. And that in and of itself to me is beautiful, to see the effect of it. But if I'm rushing around, if I'm not trying to appreciate things for what they really are, I miss it. And the same, and that can tie back to my mission story, is that if I would have just been able to sit and relax and enjoy the moment for what it was, the Spirit would have been able to be more perceptible to me. I hadn't felt the Spirit during that lesson. I was so worried and so preoccupied with everything else that I didn't get to see the Spirit working on one of my investigators. And I feel bad. That's a moment I'll never get back. But that's a moment I never want to repeat as well, in that I really missed the mark on that one. So there you go. Something to think about. Nefesh, Pneuma. Spirit and wind. Hebrew, Greek. Okay, we'll see you.